You all know how to mix paint to create new colours, but do you know how printing works? The kind of printing used for books, magazines and posters uses lots and lots of tiny dots, and I think you have all seen these. But these dots are produced using just 4 different colours of ink. Cyan, which, as you can see, is a light blue, magenta, yellow, and black. All the colours aren't printed at the same time, of course. In fact, each ink has its own printing plate. These are called separations. The dots are so tiny that they just look like a flat colour. And when all the separations are printed one on top of the other, you see something like this. The white areas, of course, are made using no colour at all. If you look back at the separations, you can see those. So, for our version of printing, we are going to find 4 felt tip pens that are as close as possible to the printing colours: yellow, cyan, black and magenta. You can't use coloured pencil or paint for this project. You must use ink. And then you need a sheet of paper. A4 size is fine. The paper should be as thin as possible, ideally, but normal paper, the kind that you use in a photocopier, is fine. And because we need 4 different printing plates, we need to fold our paper into 4. Then cut the paper into 4 parts. Then you need to decide what drawing you are going to create for your project. And to start with, I would make the drawing very, very simple indeed. So, for example, I am going to have some green grass and a flower, and I am going to just draw some very simple petals for the flower. That is it for the moment. You then have to copy this drawing onto each of the other pieces of paper. And probably the easiest way to do this is to hold it up to the light at a window and then trace what you see. So now I have got 4 copies of my drawing, and in a moment I'm going to add the ink colours. But first we need to understand how these mix together. Okay, so now you have 4 drawings and you are going to use your cyan, magenta, yellow and black felt tip pens to colour them in. But how do the colours mix in printing? Strangely, they probably don't work like you expect. It's not the same as mixing paint colours, for example. Look at the diagram. Yellow and cyan mix to produce green. Well, that's what you would expect. But then yellow and magenta mix to create red, not orange. And then cyan and magenta mixed together create dark blue, not purple. And there's something else that's strange. You can see in the middle of the diagram that there's a colour which looks a lot like black. It's a mixture of the yellow, magenta and cyan inks. But in reality, the colour isn't black at all. It's a kind of nasty looking dark, dirty brown. Which is why if you want a real black imprinting, you have to use black ink as well. And together the 4 different colours of ink are known as CMYK printing: cyan, magenta, yellow and... K? Well, in this case, K stands for key, because the black is a key colour in the printing process. So, now that we know how the colours mix, we can start to colour in our drawings. Each drawing will have a different colour, and then we will put them on top of each other to see the effect. If I want green grass, I know that I can mix cyan and yellow. So that's what I'm going to do first. And when you have finished, if you put the 2 separations together and hold them up to the light, you can just do this at the window, you should be able to see that the colours mix to produce green. Let's imagine that I want the petals to be magenta. I would need to colour them in on the magenta separation. But what if I want my petals to be a red colour? Well, remember that yellow ink and magenta in the printing process make red. But it's still quite difficult to see these colours even with a strong light or sunlight, so I've got a way to help you do this. And the trick is to use oil, any kind of oil, it doesn't matter, and you need to brush it or soak it over the paper. And when you apply oil to paper, it becomes semi-transparent, a little bit like tracing paper. Do this for all of your separations and then leave them to dry. It will probably take a few hours for that to happen. The paper isn't quite dry yet, but I've taped it to the window and you can really see the effect now. This is exactly how printing works. Now that you know the principle, you can try to create a much more complicated drawing, but this really is like a puzzle. You have to think very carefully. For example, I have decided to do a ship. I would like the body of the ship to be red, so that means I will need to mix yellow and magenta. For the sea, I want some green, that will be cyan and yellow, and then I want a dark blue, that will be cyan and magenta. For the funnel, I want part of it to be black, so that will go on the black plate, and the top of it to be red. So again, I will need to use magenta and yellow here. And for the smoke, I think I would like to try mixing all the colours to see what the dirty brown looks like. If you are really sure that your separations are the way they should be, you could rub out the pencil lines as well, but this doesn't matter too much. So, finished. These are my 4 separations. I've put it up at the window so that you can see the final result. And this is how I would like you to present your work. Take photos of the separations and then send me a picture of the final result with light behind them. Remember that it's like a puzzle to do this, so you should have fun.